Alright guys, welcome to episode 3. Episode 3 is going to be our GPU pass-through. A lot of what we're doing today is going to be specific to the hardware in my machine, but we're kind of going to run through it quickly. I'm not going to explain every single little detail, just because it's going to be different for everyone pretty much, and you'll just have to research how to do it. It's really just to introduce the concept. And that's about it. The reason we're doing it is so that we can pass our 4060 GPU through to the Kali Linux machine once we install a Kali Linux virtual machine, and then we'll be able to utilize the GPU for a utility called Hashcat, which uses the GPU for enumeration. Anyway, without further ado, let's get to it. We're already connected to our server in the terminal here, and I'm going to first thing just see if we need any updates first. One can be updated. Quickly do that. Then we're going to install the PVE headers. And this just makes sure that the kernel headers match our currently running kernel. And so we'll do that. Install PVE-headers. We're basically just making sure everything's up to date before we do any of this. And we'll do a quick reboot. Ping will just let us know when it's come back online. It just went offline. And if we can ping the IP address, it means it's back up and running. Alright, so we'll go ahead and connect again. Clear that, and we'll just make sure 7.0.6-2 is our kernel version. It's 9.2.3, so we're all good. We're all up to date. Clear that. So a little bit about what we need to do here. Intel VTX. If you have an Intel chip, like an Intel CPU, these are the two things for what we're about to do that you need to enable in the BIOS, VT-X and VT-D. So VT-X is the core hardware virtualization technology that allows a CPU to run multiple virtual machines efficiently. And Intel VT-D is an extension of that technology, and it allows the IOMMU, the Input-Output Memory Management Unit, support, enabling PCIe pass-through, where physical devices like GPUs or network cards can be directly assigned to a virtual machine. So in your BIOS, somewhere, if you have an Intel CPU, these are two things you need to enable. I had to do that with mine. With an AMD chip, I don't really know. It's just what it is. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, they're enabled in the BIOS, but we need to make sure they are enabled in the bootloader. So we'll go into grub here, in this line right here. We're going to change it for this line right here. I'm not going to be putting any of these copy and paste lines in the description this time because I don't know what I just did there. Just because they're literally just specific to my machine, and they might be completely different for yours, and I don't know. So I'm going to just copy and paste this in here. That doesn't work. It didn't work again. Oh, that's interesting. Make sure that's right. Off, comma, EFIFB, colon, off. Yeah. So that's the command. We're turning IOMMU on, and then we're setting it to pass through. And then these things are, they're just different things that help isolate the PCI device. And that's all it is. We're going to update grub. We're going to reboot. Alright, back up and running. Next thing we're going to do is just check that it did in fact come online. And this is basically just going to search through the boot log and make sure that, like here, IOMMU is enabled, right? And that's all we're really looking for. We're just kind of confirming that it worked, what we wanted it to do. We can also run this script here. And we're looking for right here. Our video cards are in here, and they're in their own grouping. And that's what we need to know. So another way you can check that is lspci-nn grep-i NVIDIA. And it will just show you that right away without basically looping through all that crap. Alright, so now we have these, I think they're hardware addresses, or I guess they're in some way a hardware address. We need to save these numbers here. So I am going to open up a new put a comma and I'll just paste in the next one. Okay, we need to save those because we're going to use them in a bit. And clear that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to blacklist some NVIDIA drivers so they don't load, or it prevents them from loading. So we're going to go nano/etc mod probe.d, and first let's just see what's in there. We don't have the file we need, so we are going to have to create it. We'll go nano blacklist dash nvidia.conf, and we will type out the following. I'm going to go blacklist NVIDIA. blacklist NVIDIA FB, blacklist NVIDIA DRM, and blacklist NVIDIA underscore mode set. Control O to save, Control X to exit, and we just basically we're forcing those drivers to not load because we want the VFIO kernel to take over the GPU for us. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go nano/etc/modules, and in here we're going to load our VFO kernels, VFIO, IOMMU type 1, VFIO underscore PCI, VFIO underscore VIRQ FD. Okay, and that's basically going to let VFIO take over our video card, but we have to tell it. We have to tell it what to take over. So we're enabling those kernels, and we're loading those kernels basically every time we boot. And then here we are going to go mod probe vfio.conf, and we are going to type options vfio-pci. That's the device kernel, the driver kernel we want. IDs equal. I'm going to take our little doodad here. Okay, if we can actually manage it. Holy moly. Copy that, paste it into there. Disable VGA equals 1, and basically we're just telling the VFIO PCI driver to claim those basically hardware IDs, those numerical IDs from the PCI table, right? So Control O, enter, Control X, and we're going to update the initial RAM disk. We're going to rebuild it. Init RAM fs-u -k all. Let that run, and then we'll reboot again. And when we reboot, we're going to check our video card drivers to make sure that the correct driver is running on each one, because we also have the K2200, the Quadro, and we do want, so we blacklisted all the NVIDIA drivers, but we didn't blacklist the Nouveau driver, and that's what we want running on the K2200, so that we do have a video output if we need it. If we break the internet and we can't connect headless like anymore, we're going to need a way to fix it. So that's why I have 2 GPUs. So we're going to reboot now, and we'll just wait for that to come back up. All right. Now we are going to verify all this LSPCI. Okay, so this is what we're looking for right here. Kernel driver in use for our 4060 is VFIO PCI. For the audio portion of our 4060, VFIO PCI. For our Quadro K2200, we wanted Nouveau, and that's all we care about, because we have a video out. So I mean, you're not going to be able to see it, but if I switch over my video source on my other monitor, we should be at we have video out on out of the Quadro. That's perfect. Okay, and that's all there is to it for that. We're not going to do anything else with that because there's nothing else we can do with it at this point. Once we create a new virtual machine for Kali Linux, which is not going to be the next episode, we'll be able to select the 4060 as a video source, as a PCI hard. Like we can actually select it as a piece of hardware for that machine. The next video is going to be episode 4, and that's going to be OpenSense. I don't know if it's OPN Sense or OpenSense. I don't know how it's said, but that's what we're going to be doing. That's going to be how we're isolating our network. So it's going to be, we have our router, and then we have our, what is it? What's it called again? VMBR0. That's our bridge. We have VMBR0, and then we're going to have OpenSense firewall, and then we're going to have another bridge, VMBR1, and then all of our virtual machines and containers from here on out, Kali Linux, Ubuntu, etc., will all take their internet from this, and OpenSense will assign them an IP address, and it's going to be like it's probably going to be, Kali was going to have 10.10.10.100, Ubuntu's going to have 10.10.10.101, or something like that. It'll all be DHCP, so it'll all be automatically assigned, but that way we can set rules and whatever through OpenSense. So that's going to be our next episode, setting up OpenSense. It's going to be, I think, quite a bit of a long episode, but it's a lot of good stuff in it. Anyway, thanks for watching.